we've changed the plan. In lieu of usually I'll call during the break and bring on one of these things, but I'm gonna give it. It's been a while for me, but I certainly have been known to do some in my past.
Hello, Gullible Rube Industries. Chris speaking.
Yeah. Do you have Prince Albert in the can?
Oh no, it's one of these classic pranksters.
Oh, no, it's real. I'm curious. I'm looking for some tobacco that was sold in the 30s.
Okay, so you're not even really a good one. Okay.
Chris, it's actually Sam Seder. I'm sorry.
Way to say yes, Chris.
That's all right. Thanks, Sam. Thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it. I know you already talked about the debate, but I'm excited to talk a little politics with some fellow politic heads.
Oh, good. All right. Well, we'll do that. But before we do that, we have to go through basically what you do, because it's fantastic. This is it's a great era for something like this to happen. Like in the past, there have been people who have done stuff like this. I have done one or two myself of this type of stuff, but you have made it into a show, the not even a show, but and it's pretty amazing. Well, I just want to play a couple of clips to show people, and we can talk about this. This is Curt Schilling. And we just give us like
Sam, I don't know. To be honest, if you play any of the clips from my YouTube, I might have to DMCA you, but
we'll speed it up so that your algorithm can't find it.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, well, I'm not sure. What are you going to play?
Okay, we're going to play first. This is show episode 1, I guess, back in 2017, where you called in Curt Schilling, I guess, at this time. I didn't know. Maybe he still has one, but he had a show?
Yeah, on Breitbart, Breitbart.com. That was the first show I ever called, was Curt Schilling. I came across it on Twitter, and he was just sort of doing it on Periscope. But it wasn't. It was just him in his house, sort of doing a show. But yeah, it was on Breitbart. Now,
had you decided to do a show yet, or were you just like, God, this guy, I got to call in and just mess with him?
Well, I'm a stand-up comedian. That's what my background is. So I'm a stand-up comedian, and I sort of decided I don't really want to be a stand-up comedian. I don't want to tour around. So I have to look for something that I can do at home, and I really love editing. I love like what Vic Berger, DJ Doug Pound on Tim and Eric, they're sort of taking footage and making it funnier just with editing.
Right.
So I became really obsessed with that, and I started looking at ways of getting footage. And yeah, I came across, so I had it in mind that I was doing a channel. I also had an idea before that to do a Twitter account where basically we organize pranks, large pranks. So it would be like an account that would have however many followers, and we'd say, okay, today we're calling Hannity and everyone's going to say this. But I couldn't get it off the ground because I had no followers and nobody cared. So I just started the channel.
Well, it's going to happen. We're going to do this. But in the meantime, here is Curt Schilling. Now, I have to say, Curt Schilling, for me, obviously, there's some pleasure in watching this, but there's also some pain. I'm not going to lie. Schilling, part of the 2004 team where the Red Sox won the World Series after, 80 some odd years? I can't even remember now how long the curse was. But here is Curt Schilling.
Well, let's start with a clip where he busts him on Curt attributing attack on Muslims when they weren't them. So we just gotta get the flavor.
Okay, we'll get the flavor of it first.
What didn't you get? Huh? Clean your ears. Clean your ears out, big boy.
All right. Hey, Curt, how are you doing?
Good. What's on your mind,
Big fan
buddy?
of yours. You look fat as shit today, but I love you, man.
That's funny. Okay. Are you calling in for something?
No, I was just calling in. I'm a really big fan of yours. I'm racist and I'm homophobic. And
right.
no,
actually, you're Californian. You
Sorry?
don't need to go with all those. Just say you're Californian. That covers all those. What else? What else you got for me, Chris?
Oh, am I still there?
No, yeah, we haven't hung up. Go ahead. Come on. Go ahead. Come on. Go ahead. Come on.
Oh, sorry. It's usually a hang up.
No, we don't hang up. You hang up.
I'm really scared all the time, and I'm always looking for outlets as far as like things that I can point to for why my life's
again,
not
you
successful.
don't need to
So
explain those
that's why I'm a big
things.
fan of yours.
Dude, you don't need to explain those things. Just say you're liberal. That covers it all.
I'm not liberal. I'm
Next.
a conservative. I'm
No,
a big fan of
you're
yours.
not. There's nothing conservative about you. You're a coward and a fraud because you can't call in with anything to debate or talk about other than the fact that you're a dumbass. Oh, anyway, go ahead.
I'm not a coward.
Sure you are.
I'm not a coward.
Sure you are. Sure you are.
Move,
That's exactly what you are.
would be to say that I'm running for Senate
That's
and
exactly
then
what
to
you
ask
are.
my wife and have her not.
Okay, now 1 second here. I forgot that that wasn't the Muslim thing.
That was still pretty funny.
Yeah, that was when I remember that he said he was running for Senate, and then he said, all I have to do is ask my wife, and then he came out like 2 days later, and he's like, I will not be running for Senate.
Very alpha move.
I've been there.
Yeah.
Let's go to the let's go.
Defamation stuff?
Yeah, let's go to the defamation because this is pretty good, and I really I had a lot of respect for what the work you did here because you would not let this die, and
so this is Kurt making the mistake here.
okay, this is later in the show. This is Kurt making what you write as a truly wonderful mistake.
And then, quote, Trump administration chose to defame me, Comey said. I didn't realize that fame was part of his appointment or his position. But apparently it was. So we're going to find out.
A pause it. We should just be clear here. He doesn't know what the word defame means. He thinks it means removing his fame.
Like a child, the way a child would think.
Right.
That's what it means.
I think if I said that to my 6-year-old, like, what do you think defame means? Get rid of fame?
Yeah, like defang.
Right. But so you call in to just sort of talk to him about this.
I'm a big fan. I call in all the time.
I know. Not really a fan, but you do call in. But what?
I am a fan. I'm as much of a fan as anyone else. I listen to your show every single morning. I wake up for
Awesome.
it. It's 6 o'clock in the morning.
What's up?
Well, I noticed last week you seemed to not really understand what the word defame means, and I was curious if you've figured out yet what the word means.
Yeah, it means to slander somebody, it means to slander somebody,
So why do you seem to feel like it has something to do with fame, though? Because you said I don't know how you can
how
defame
can you
somebody
defame somebody who isn't actually famous?
but you can't. You understand that you can by law, right?
Right, but if you're damaging somebody's reputation, then you're defaming them.
Yeah, but you understand that you can do that to someone who's not famous,
Are you
right?
not defaming somebody by damaging their reputation?
Yeah, no, that's
Okay,
what the
all right,
word
well, so
means,
then you
but it has
are.
nothing to do with
So-
fame.
Right, no, but you can. If somebody's famous and you damage their reputation, you're defaming them, right?
Yes, no, I know, but
Okay,
if somebody's
well then,
not
so
famous,
you're the idiot that doesn't know what the word means. Find awesome? I think it's awesome that you
What do
spent
you
your
think?
entire weekend worrying about my use of the word defame. That to me is funny. You got anything else?
Can I talk?
Sure.
So why did you say it's something to do with fame?
I said, how can you defame somebody who shouldn't be famous? Right?
Yeah, so that shows that you don't understand the word
Okay.
and that you're dumb.
No, well,
You
that's
understand
actually
that? Because you
not
said, how can
both.
you defame someone who's
Wait,
not
let me ask you
famous? That
something.
shows you're dumb.
Who's the dumbass that's up at 9 o'clock in the morning listening to somebody's show that they don't like?
Yeah, we can end that one there. Here.
Yeah. Okay, but you don't end it
Well,
there. Go ahead.
Yeah, you don't want to miss, because right at the end, that was when I reminded him it was actually 6 a.m. for me, because he doesn't understand how time zones work.
That is. Now, let me ask you this:
You're such an irritant.
Do you have a device or a system of spoofing your caller ID?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I had
Okay.
to, like, once I started calling more shows and they started to know my number,
Right.
then I had to get a call spoofer to spoof my call, which I guess you're not actually allowed to really do.
I don't know about that.
No, in America you're not, but I live in Canada, luckily, so there's really nothing that anybody can do about it. So
Because back in the day, hypothetically, if I lived in America and I had done this, I would have used iTellus at iTellus.com. But apparently you can't do that. So
Yeah. No, I use it's just a simple application. It's good. It records the calls and it allows me to change my number. Because there's a lot of the hosts. Kurt doesn't do his show anymore. There's a lot of the hosts that stopped doing their shows since we've been up and running. But there's people like JJ McCartney is a guy we regularly call, and I can just call back over and over again from different numbers, and he's got no one calling in, so he's just picking up my call after my call after my call.
Well, so here we go. So 19 episodes later, in fact, now you published this on June 19th. So this is almost like a year and a half later.
This
right?
is 4 seasons and 19 episodes.
Oh my
later.
God. So this is a long time later. Kurt Schilling.
But this is a best of clip, I should say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kurt Schilling is it on the Howie Carr show? Is that what he's on?
Oh yes, this is from an earlier episode, but yeah, he went on the Howie Carr show with a guest host, Steve something, who's like the producer, and I had already pranked him that day. So I had already pranked him at his home, and then he got into his car, drove to his studio, and then I pranked him on the show that he was a guest on as well.
Let's look at him on the guest.
Advice from you, number one. Number two, I admitted I made a mistake. It was my mistake. That's no problem.
By the way, do you know what the word defame means yet?
Really? Are you seriously waking up this early to call in for that one? My God.
We'll go to the phone lines again. Chris, you're next on this one with Steve and Kurt. Go ahead, Chris.
Oh, hey, how are you today?
Good.
Can you ask Kurt a question for me? Kurt, are you there?
You can ask him yourself.
Go ahead, buddy.
Oh, hey, Kurt. I was just curious. Do you know? Could you tell me the definition of the word defame?
Oh, this is some schmuck who calls into my show every day. I think he's Canadian. He does it. He's high every morning by 9:15, and he calls.
So he followed you here.
Right, he did. He followed me over here, and he has absolutely no like political awareness whatsoever. But he tries to like call in and ask about
we usually have good Canadians who call on the show. We've had a lot of Canadians who have really good calls.
I mentioned we were talking about James Comey, and somebody had said I said he was being. How do you defame somebody that isn't actually famous?
Oh,
and so he said, oh, you used the word defamed in the wrong sentence in the wrong context. Like,
well, in
really
that case,
did?
I think you might have.
Right? No, I did. The point was right.
Yeah. We need to stop and marinate in that moment where first of all, I don't know why he felt so. You've got under his skin so badly. This is what I think is really impressive about what you're doing here is like you found something that reduced Kurt Schilling, the guy who like pitched through a bloody ankle. And you found something that stayed in his brain in such a way that he could not even let it go on a major regional radio show where he was like, oh, that's just some guy. I got a lot of trolls. What are you going to do? Blah, blah, blah. But he actually has to explain the whole thing to him. Wait, keep it up there because we got to keep going. And the host basically says, oh, yeah, you did get it wrong. And watch Kurt Schilling try and dig himself out of this hole with the host.
In that case, I think you might have.
Right? No, I did. But the point was right.
It was to be funny.
Right,
I get you, Kurt.
Right.
As someone who's also very funny, I understand. Sometimes people just don't get it.
No. See, and this is where I would do the Mitt Romney laugh if I was over on the board. But see, here's the thing: is Grace obviously calls you a quasi-celebrity.
Right.
So you, all, by your understanding, could not be defamed.
Right.
It's so good. It's so good that even the host who brought him onto the show and presumably agrees with him on most stuff is just absolutely mocking the shit out of him. I love it. Yeah.
Like, not only are you stupid, but you're not even famous.
Yeah.
It's the best when they eat their own.
Oh,
yeah.
That was.
But yeah, that's the thing that I like to do, and that's like with my channel. What I've sort of focused on is honing in on one thing and just not letting it go. I found that's sort of the best way to drive the hosts crazy. And there's like JJ McCartney is the one I have a supercut of 3 hours, and we only ever call him about his shirt, and that's like sort of a well-known one.
Please,
and
can we play some of that? Please.
The idea was, though, I thought in my head, can I invent something? Can I invent something that has no meaning whatsoever? So it's not even insulting. It's not bad. There's nothing to it. And just invent it from nothing and create a thing that now is the bane of his existence and drives him insane. And it worked 100%.
This is this guy. What's his name now? This is JJ McCartney.
JJ McCartney. Yeah, he's in like Nebraska. He's a extremely right wing, like QAnon, false flag, really, truly disgraceful, religious bigot, just a terrible, terrible guy.
And you've just picked the shirt randomly.
Yeah.
We're just going to pick up randomly. This is a 3-hour supercut.
3-hour supercut.
This is about 7 minutes into it.
Oh, my God.
In the attacks of 9/11. Or say that a family member of yours was killed by a member of the Hells Angels. What would
We're
it
going to
make
skip a
you
little
feel?
bit ahead.
Trade. And I'm really worried that if China cuts out the trade altogether, then where are you going to get your cheap shirts from?
Yeah, you're so funny. Oh, gosh, it's a real knee slapper. That's where you get, folks, these people are, they're clever, aren't they? 853-522-57. This one says it's Janice. Hello, Janice. Welcome to the show.
It's Janice. Sorry.
No, it's not. No, it's not, and you're not sorry, and I'm sorry, but I don't have time to waste. Folks, we got so much going on in the world, and we're just not going to play your games. I mean, seriously, I got better things to do. Okay, we go next. It says you're in Tennessee, but who knows? Hello, welcome to the show.
I told you not to mess with the lock gang.
Excuse?
I said don't mess with the lock gang.
I don't know what he means.
Chris, do you want to explain the lock gang a little bit?
What is the lock gang?
Well, the lock gang is, there was an old host that we used to call named Jim Lockwood, who was a blind lawyer in, I forget where, but, and when we called him, and we started a bit where we pretended to be a gang supporting him, and we would call other hosts and say, don't, double cross Lockwood and the lock gang. It was sort of like in a way of mocking him, sort of. It became a big part, but he's one of the other hosts he's gone now. He doesn't do a show anymore.
Yeah, I mean, this is so fantastic. If YouTube had existed when I was younger, that's I think basically. Let's just skip ahead. I just want to see JJ McCartney months into this.
You can see him years into it if you want.
Go.
Okay.
We're sorry.
Welcome to the...
This is too complicated to explain, probably. He starts playing this weird clip that every time somebody calls, somebody's going to move on.
I would never wish that on anybody else, that they would have to be you. And that's the bottom line. You never know. You just never know. Hello, you're on the JJ McCartney Show. Not this one. Oh, hang on. Got a little bit of a hitch in the giddy up. Don't go away. Stay with us. We're taking care of this, I promise. It's okay. Okay, now, caller, are you there?
Hi, JJ. This is David.
David?
Hello?
I'm gonna give you 20. I'm gonna give you 20 seconds to tell me why you're calling and what's going on. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, you mentioned earlier you were looking for news reports, and I was just saying that out here in California, there's a lot of stuff going on with George Soros right now. He's organizing a bunch of youth groups, and it's really worrying to me. They're indoctrinating all these kids, and I think the worst of them. Have you heard of any of these? I think the worst one is Youth Bin.
No, I have not heard of Youth Bin. Tell me more.
That's because Youth Bin.
Yeah. See, I thought I was a moron.
Youth Bin. Frank.
Nice.
That is my Prince Albert in the can, basically.
Yeah. It really is amazing to think that we've honestly called. There's genuinely 5 hours of material of calling this guy. I mean, I don't know why he kind of still does his show, to be honest, because the chat, he had to shut down his YouTube chat because it was 95% people from my channel just pretending to be other people. And honestly, 75 to 80% of the callers are us. So I don't get why it's still happening.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's fantastic. I think. I think that's fantastic. Like, have you come across anybody? And I sort of feel like, I feel like I'm aware of something but have you come across a guy like this who, when you start calling, realizes like, I'm just going to change the nature of my show and have it be a receptacle for prank calls?
I mean, that's essentially what Jim Lockwood did. The blind, and I forgot to mention about Jim Lockwood. He had swords hanging up behind him on his wall. So that was like a key thing. We would always call him about his swords, like as pretending we were just sword enthusiasts and we only wanted to talk about the swords. But yeah, definitely. I mean, there's been a lot of shows where they just stopped taking phone calls. They just decided, you know what, maybe we just won't be a call-in show anymore. Maybe we'll just talk for an hour or whatever. Like there was a show called The Deplorables Radio. That was the name of the show. So you can imagine what it was. But I have a character named the Fat Master who, if there's like a really homophobic host, the Fat Master gets aroused by that and he calls in and watches the live stream and batches off, which is his way of saying jacks off. And this guy was the most homophobic dickhead ever on the Deplorables Radio. The Fat Master called him one single time and he just shut down the phone lines forever. Never took another call in his entire life.
That's fantastic.
Snowflakes.
Oh, that's so great. And so, so how many years have you been doing this?
2.5 years, I want to say. Like I said, I'm a stand-up. So I've been doing comedy for a long time, and I grew up, watching I watched Prank Yankers. I think you might remember, and the Jerky Boys when I was a kid.
Yes.
Was like it was when the Jerky Boys were. Which is insane to think. They had like the #1 album in North America as a prank calling duo, which is just crazy to think. And that's like my formidable years. And then Sal and Richard as well on Howard Stern.
Sal and Richard are good.
Calls. Yeah, the Tradio calls and all that stuff. So I've been obsessed with sort of, or I've had an interest in prank calling for a long time.
It's very. Can you hear me, Chris?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's very Tradio call like, and the difference is that the Tradio calls that the Howard Stern guys do are incredibly funny, but you have to like it. The hosts of Tradio are these very nice, hapless coasts, and these assholes from New York, these scumbags are bothering them in their nice little swap shop program. So it's really funny, but you have the same dynamic except with the payoff of. Oh, like it's a horrible person.
Well, that's the thing.
So it all works. It's like you don't have that. I love those pranks, but there's always a little twinge of like, oh, just leave them alone and let them like resell their tractor or whatever they're doing. But this has none of that. Please waste all of their time.
Yeah, that is really the beauty of it. It's like the Quentin Tarantino thing where it's like the villains are so bad that you can do whatever you want to them and nobody feels bad for them. So it works out really well where I can be really vicious to these people. Sometimes what I do have to do is, and people have told me in the past that I have to do is sort of frame it a little bit, show a little bit of them talking and saying some of the really bad stuff.
Right.
The thing is it's a fine line because it's a balancing act. I don't want to put that out there on my channel and have too much of that. Actually, I don't want people watching that. It's just bullshit. It sucks. But I do want to frame it up a little bit to say, okay, I'm actually happy that this guy JJ is considering flying to Vancouver to try to kill you. Like that's actually funny to me because he's a monster. He has said that before a number of times. He sort of led on that like, hey, I'm considering hiring somebody to kill you.
Oh my God! Probably not the best context in which to announce that.
That's such a great call, though. Like, hey JJ, I'm a hitman.
It's true. Back in my early days,
I take Bitcoin.
In my early days of comedy. This guy, Carl Perry, and I, who was sort of like a legendary comedic influence on like Cross and those guys, but was very in his own world. We would call the production offices of this TV show called Cobra with Michael Dudikoff as if we were the Michael Dudikoff fan club and pitch different storylines as to like, we think that Michael could get involved with Christine, but if you're holding off for later in the episode, that's cool. And then it would be stuff like I would call and I'd say, listen, I just want you to know, because I don't want to be, I want to be upfront about this. We had to remove the president. It was perfectly, along parliamentary procedure. I am the acting vice president, but I do have authorization to make this call by a vote that I can send you the minutes if you need to see the minutes. And they would put us on speakerphone because they were all thinking like, these guys are insane. And the thing is, like, I think we recorded it, but that's the beauty of like this YouTube era, is that you can actually like do this stuff and show it to other people. We would just do it and then just, I don't know, get high and then laugh about it. But we weren't 12. We were 25, I think.
Well, that's what a lot of the time I'll tell people, like, oh, I have a prank calling channel. And they're like, oh, yeah, I used to love doing prank calls when I was 9, And I'm like, oh, yeah, I know. It's a bit childish.
But what you're doing is, on some level, I mean, it is like, it is a form of political trench warfare. You are jamming their signal to the extent, like, what's the big? Well, let's play this one here. This is this is the Fat Master.
Really need to call that guy.
I could find the Roger Stone.
That would be so funny.
This is the Roger Stone call. Yeah, this was. It's really hard to get on with Infowars. I'm actually, in my head, as somebody who tries to prank call shows all the time, I'm convinced that Alex Jones doesn't have real callers to his show. Like, he never did. It was all sort of pre-done because, I mean, we've called thousands of times and never gotten even through to a screener. But yeah, we managed to get on this other show that Roger Stone was co-hosting.
That's interesting. I definitely know. I can assure you that in talk radio, people would put planted calls in. I know that I was definitely aware that people would do that. But that's interesting. Maybe he never got any real calls at all. That's interesting. Yeah. But here is this is the Fat Master calling into Roger Stone.
You are receiving this transmission. You are the resistance.
I just got to say, that checkered tie, really digging it today, Roger. Really digging it.
I appreciate that. Coming from a man whose tie and whose pocket square are perfectly coordinated today.
It's a high compliment. Many thanks.
Well, thank you. And revealing the suspenders, too, after coming off the Jones Show. A big move. All right, let's go out to the phone lines indeed. Your calls for Roger Stone or myself. Let's go to Chris in Florida as well. Go ahead, Chris.
Oh, hey, good afternoon, fellas. How are you?
We're great.
I'm excited to talk to Roger. I'm a big fan of yours, Roger. I love you a lot. Love that you're on the live stream. You're looking good with those suspenders.
Thank you. It's kind of the Larry King look, but I wanted to change it up from the Alex Jones Show.
You look a lot better than Larry King, sir. You look a whole lot better than Larry King.
Well,
no offense to him.
I'm at least 30 years younger, I think, but go ahead.
Yeah, you really look good.
Well, you are a fan, so go ahead with your question.
Yeah, my name's the Fat Master. I'm kind of a well-known figure, and I like to watch these radio shows, and I find the most handsome hosts, and I like to, I guess, batch off to them.
That's very interesting. Do you have a question for us today?
Yeah, my question is, have you ever heard of Jim Lockwood and the Lock Gang?
I cannot say that I have.
Chris, did you want to talk about South Korea and North Korea like it says on the board here, or are you just calling in for a good time?
I am having a good time jacking off, yeah.
All right, well, that's
okay.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
I feel like Stone probably took that well.
I used to get nervous calling, when I'd get on with a big person, and it doesn't happen as much now. It makes it a lot easier. Like on that call, I was really nervous, to have gotten through.
You think Stone was sincerely flattered by that?
Yeah, I think he definitely was.
Yeah, that was the thing about it. When I did it, I realized afterwards that he wasn't the best target for that type of thing because he's very open sexually, is the truth.
Right.
He's famously he had that cuck posting or whatever, right?
Right. I mean, you want to call into like someone who's very conservative, and
yeah, he does.
creep them out that you are.
Exactly. Yeah, the idea of it, because the idea of the fact that they're on a camera and there's nothing they can do, like they could turn the camera off, I guess, but they're on a camera. They can't, pick who's watching them or what that person's doing while they're watching them. It's a really sort of, you're on a live stream right now. Isn't it a little uncomfortable to think of that?
A little bit, I guess. I mean, if you tell me that you are, I would say I'm not surprised. I think a huge percentage of our audience is probably doing the same. But
see, that's why pranking left-wing shows doesn't work as well. That's the reason. I mean, if you try to call them and you would just say something like that, and then it would be over and it wouldn't be a great clip.
Yeah, we don't care if you jack off to us. In fact, we like it.
We actually are enrolled in an affiliate program where
if you're jerking off while you watch the Majority Report, be sure to let Credo Mobile know. There's a number you can text.
Exactly.
And it actually supports Planned Parenthood.
Use the coupon code Majority.
Use the coupon code Majority. Let them know you jerked off to us.
Let's watch with the Fat Master calling in on one of these homophobic radio hosts.
Oh, this is the deplorables.
Yeah, let's just do this.
Oh, this is the one. This is the guy who never took another phone call.
I never took another phone call again.
Shut down his phone lines altogether.
The number here, I guess, I might have given the wrong number earlier, 202-838-0101. That's the call-in number. Someone tweeted me that maybe I gave the wrong one, which would not be the first time. I got a call here. This is Roger from Idaho. Let's go ahead and get his input on this. So, hey, Roger, how's it going?
Not too bad. How you doing today?
Hey, good. So what's your comments? What's your thoughts on this?
Hey, I question, is deplorable, is that a play on that comment that Hillary made?
Yeah, it actually was kind of going around before that, but then Hillary kind of helped codify it. Yes, that helped. I
told you.
That helped give us an answer. That gave us a kind of a common banner for us people that the Democrats and the establishment don't like at all.
So you gave the wrong number out originally? That's kind of an important part of a call-in show.
It sure is. So do you have any input to the show?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about Mitch McConnell.
Okay, sir.
Sorry. Is that you on the live stream?
It is.
Oh, cool. I like to call these shows, and then I guess I batch off while I watch.
Okay, so what about McConnell? What's your point?
Well, McConnell, I would never batch off to McConnell. No, he's not nearly as good looking as you.
These are what we call trolls.
And these are people that
have nothing better to do.
Thanks so much.
And thus ends his phone call taking.
Yeah, he didn't say the thing because it is really amazing. One thing that I've learned from calling all these different shows, it's amazing. Top to bottom, doesn't matter how big the show is, they all use the insult living in your mom's basement. It is just every single one says it. It's crazy how many. Dennis Prager, Gorka, like all the way down to JJ, every single one of them.
Now, we played a bunch of you calling into Gorka.
Yeah, you could be like in the spare bedroom or something. Is that where you are in your mom's house?
Yeah, that's actually I actually had my mom and dad call into the shows. So there's a clip where my dad calls Kurt Schilling and says that I live in the basement and he can't get me out of the basement. I refuse to leave. And Kurt's like takes it seriously, and Kurt like talks to him father to father. Like,
did it occur to Schilling, like, how does this guy know what his son is doing in the bay? Like, how does this? I watch YouTube and I stumbled across your show and saw that my son called in, and I just wanted to tell you I'm sorry. I'm trying. But we played a bunch of your Gorka stuff. Where you would say like, oh, my sister, she's a lib. She says that you're ugly and horrible and you're just despicable and dishonest.
That's my favorite prank. It's my favorite prank to do to the bigger shows. It's so great where you just position yourself as a huge fan who has a detractor within their life, and then it just gives you free reign to insult them just right to their face on their own radio show. Say the most insulting things you can think of, you know?
And do you have like a favorite persona you use when you talk to screeners? Do you have any screeners? I mean, folks want to do this. Some of these shows don't have screeners. I had a thing back during the Air America days where Janina was getting harassed by a right-wing talk show host in Massachusetts, which we ended up, it was the Ken something show, and I didn't realize that there were radio shows that don't have screeners, and that they just pick up the calls, and so I just kept theoretically changing my my caller ID, and within a show, there was not that many callers. So he would pick up a call, it would be me. He would hang up on me. He would pick up another call, and then he would pick up another call. It would be me, and then it was me, and then it was me. Do most of the? I would imagine most of these YouTube shows don't have screeners.
It depends on the level of the show. So a lot of them, like any show that's a bigger show, so any show that's happening at a radio, a terrestrial radio network, and is just being simulcast on YouTube or Facebook or whatever, they all have screeners. But the unaffiliated ones, the ones where it's just a person who's streaming from their home, they often don't. So yeah, it's a real, I'm going to tell you, just if you're starting a right-wing radio show and you have a live video stream and you don't have a call screener, it's bad news for you. It's not going to work out well. It's just, those shows are like JJ McCartney is like that, where he has an automated screener. So it says, please tell the host what you would like to talk about. And then it just does voice to text.
Oh, wow.
So that's like, but yes, I guess that's even one step further. Cause some of them are just picking up the call, answering it and saying hello. And they're doing it on the radio, on the air, which seems a crazy way to do it.
That's what we do. But again, I'm not as concerned about it.
You have gotten pranked a few times, though, I've noticed.
Whoa, you definitely have gotten pranked. I think you did. You pranked us once.
Well, you know what's funny? Somebody pranked you last week, I guess, but it wasn't. It was somebody on behalf of my channel, but not somebody that was, I had no idea. They just sent me a DM on Twitter saying, hey, I pranked Sam on behalf of the Not Even a Show. So that happens quite a bit now, which is nice. It's kind of a cool thing about my channel, too, is if it's like, oh, I like this channel, you can just be on it and be a part of it by just making a prank call and sending it to me,
Right. It's basically like a Baba Booey type of situation.
What was the prank?
It was the Valve Half-Life, and then someone called you a boomer. I didn't really follow it, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the key is that they called you a boomer. That's the main thing that you got to remember.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm a Gen Xer, so
yeah.
Don't ever do that.
Methinks thou doth protest too much. I like how it's like a fact that you can't even question. It's based on your age, and yet still I'm calling it into question.
Well, I mean, it's also maybe a mentality on some level, right? Well, so folks can head over to not even a show on YouTube. What is your YouTube channel? We'll obviously put a link at majority.fm, but just
it's youtube.com/not even a show, and then I have a patreon.com/not even a show. I do a bonus episode every week and a podcast, and then I do my own call-in show on Twitch, No Prank Radio, where I sort of beg people not to prank me, but unfortunately, Sam, you're not going to believe it, but they actually don't listen, and they do, in fact, all prank me.
It's a show that is completely overrun by pranksters.
Exactly. So another fun one, though, where you can sort of, make your own character and call in. And so, yeah, it's been really fun. I just kind of started it as a bit of a goof, but I do it 3 days a week, and it's a lot of fun.
Oh, good. All right. Well, Chris, it was great to talk to you. Really appreciate your work, and thanks for taking some time.
Hey, man, thank you so much. Thank you to Matt and everybody for, boosting my stuff. It's been so huge for me. It means so much, and I really appreciate it. And the last thing I want to say, Sam, is nice shirt. Bye.
Wait, what? Is there something? What's wrong with my shirt?
Nothing. It's just, it's...
You're getting JJ treatment now.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
That guy drops off.
Seeds of doubt.
He goes away, and now I'm stuck.